All right, welcome to chapter 8. I gave you two things. One was the packet for the 8, and then one was this yellow sheet, which is the trig identities. You are going to want to use this a lot, and right now, today, we're just really going to focus on the top two. And a lot of the stuff you see, they're just different ways of representing each other, and we're going to just plug in and simplify things down and just kind of change stuff around a little bit. One of the things to know is we're going to be using sines and cosines a lot. So when you do this, I know there's in the first two boxes I think for what tangent equals, and it's the flip of cotangent. But there's also this thing of what tangent equals sine over cosine. You are going to want to focus on this one as opposed to this one. It's not that this one is wrong. It's just for what we're going to be doing, we're going to want to change tangent to sine and cosine. And same thing, we're going to want to focus on cotangent. Here is cosine over sine versus this cotangent. So don't completely eliminate those, but those are going to be if you're going to focus on anything, focus on these. All right, so on page 1 is some of the same things, but the yellow sheet is going to be more your priority. But it's in here if you need it. So here are the two boxes that really we're going to focus on. All right, so when you see some stuff like this, they're going to ask you to simplify. And the first thing you should do is change things into sines and cosines. Change into sine and cos. So if there's already sine and cos in there, leave that alone. All right, so kind of first thing, just jump in here. So cotangent here is squared. So when I kind of change that around, so cotangent, I said ignore that one, or on your yellow sheet. Cotangent is cosine over sine. So I'm going to change that into cosine over sine. Now, because cotangent was squared to begin with, cosine is going to be squared, and sine is also going to be squared. I have a little one right in there. Now, cosecant, using kind of these things, cosecant is there. It's 1 over sine. I guess I should use the yellow sheet. Sorry. Cosine is 1 over sine. So to change into sines and cosines, that's what I'm going to do. So 1 over sine squared. All right, there is a division bar in between them, so I'm going to put that back in. And once you have this, it's really just working your algebraic simplifying tools. So I have two fractions and a fraction, so I leave the top alone. And one thing I don't remember if I mentioned, since cosecant was squared, I'm going to square sine also. Just put the 2 there. All right, so I leave the top alone, and then instead of dividing, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal of the bottom. So that's one of the algebraic properties. All right, once you see one thing on top and one thing on bottom, they automatically cancel each other out. Since they're the same, they totally eliminate. So I end up with cosine squared over 1, or just cosine squared. That's all you're doing. Okay, so really the thing is figure out what to change it into in terms of sines and cosines. All right, on page 2, I am going to go over to example 3. I don't know why this isn't focusing, I'm sorry. All right, so if something is already a sine, leave it alone. Don't change it into anything else. So sines and cosines stay sine and cos. Okay, look at your yellow sheet for cotangent, what it is. So cotangent of theta over, cotangent is cosine of theta over sine theta. And then we have times this other cosine. All right, I have everything in sines and cosines, so I'm just going to start simplifying a little bit. I can multiply things together. Okay, the property of fractions, they have to have the same denominator, which is, right now it's a 1. So I'd multiply this by sign and this one by sign. So I have sine squared theta over sine plus cosine squared theta over sine. Now don't simplify this one because I'm going to go back to what I started with again. So combine them into one fraction. I'm going to run out of room here, but I'll do my best. Sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta, hold on, over sine theta. Now, I am venturing out of those first two boxes a little bit. So when you see something like this, sine squared plus cosine squared, so if you ever start seeing a 1 as something squared plus, that's a big hint. Now when you see that's actually in this box right here. So I know sine squared plus cosine squared, I can replace that with the number 1. So it's like substituting in. So the top actually changes to a 1 over sine theta. And finally, I can switch that. What's 1 over sine theta? Well, it's the flip function, so it's cosecant. Okay. All right, so those are a couple examples. What I would like you to do is go through on page number 8. I would like you to work on number 6. Change tangent into sines and cosines and cosecant into sines and sides. Cancel anything, one on top, one on bottom. I'd like you to go to number 8. So number 6, number 8, number 10, number 11. I know this is weird and it's kind of like, okay, this is a lot different than what we did before, but it's just a lot different trick, just switching things into looking a little bit different. So try those 4 problems for tomorrow and let me know if you need help. I'll be around 4th or 8th period. Thanks, bye.